This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Contest against Mwai Kibaki in 2007 general election. The election results that announced Mwai Kibaki as the winner were disputed, triggering the post-election violence that saw more than 1,000 people killed and dozens displaced. In 2013 general election, Raila Odinga would yet again get into the ring for the presidential contest, leading the Coalition for Reforms and Democracy Code that lost to Uhuru Kenyatta, a scenario that repeated itself in 2017 general election under the National Super Alliance NASA, where he lost again to Uhuru Kenyatta.
Raila TB, Raila TB, Kalonzo TB, Kalonzo TB.
However, in March 9, 2018, Raila Odinga made an unprecedented move by sealing a truce with Uhuru Kenyatta, forming the famous handshake government. It was a move that shifted the political landscape, shaping the 2022 general election. Uhuru Kenyatta endorsed Raila Odinga for presidency against his deputy William Ruto, who became an outcast in the very government he was in. In the 2022 general election, Raila reinvented himself for a fifth stab at presidency, running with the blessings and full backing of the government of the day under the Azimio la Umoja ticket. He lost to President William Ruto. However, like the political enigma he is, he made his way back to the government in June 2024 following the nationwide Gen Z protests. President Ruto roped him into his government by appointing some of his top allies into the broad-based government. The pact between UDA and ODM would yet again place him at the center of power with no official capacity. Jeff Kirui, KTN.
DJ, panaleta mchanganyiko. Nataka lero lero ni lero. Lero lero ni lero. Olanga mukamba nukobe, olanga mukamba nukobe, umote wewe nukobe, nukobe. Leo ni leo, leo ni leo, leo ni leo. Asemaye kesho ni muwango, asemaye kesho ni muwango, mama ni muwango.
Tunasema Kenya mpya inawezekana.
Inawezekana. Leo ni leo.
Na inawezekana.
Inawezekana. Leo ni leo.
Kenya mpya inawezekana.
Inawezekana. Leo ni leo.
Nchi ambayo kuna raha na ustawi.
Inawezekana.
Na inawezekana.
Leo ni leo.
Ndoto yao ambayo walisema Mungu bariki nchi yetu ya Kenya,
inawezekana.
Haki iwe ngao na mlinzi,
leo ni leo.
Tukae na undugu,
inawezekana.
Amani na uhuru,
leo ni leo.
Raha,
inawezekana.
Tupate na ustawi,
leo ni leo.
Na inawezekana.
Inawezekana. Leo ni leo. Olanga mukamba nukobe, olanga mukamba nukobe, umote wewe nukobe, nukobe. Leo ni leo, leo ni leo,
intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's 21 March. It's 6:21 on this 16th of October, 2025. This is the Situation Room. Good morning. And, of course, it's a day when folks have come to the reality of the situation that made itself known to many Kenyan and indeed the world yesterday with the passing of the man, the myth, the legend, Raila Odinga. And we're here on this day to continue our coverage, of course, our broadcast and conversations around the death of this man who's been in Kenya's political and freedom space for the last 40 more years. And we wake up this morning to the reality of that situation. And here we are in the Situation Room, focusing on that once again. Dennis, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Salama. Yep, and that's what it is. We're going through this day, of course, with many conversations to be had around one conversation. So thank you already for joining us in the room this morning. And as we go into it, it is the Situation Room. It is a day when many things have happened in less than 24 hours. And here we are to then be able to go through them one by one. So it's still the conversation. It takes a different turn this morning. And those are some of the things that we'll be doing to discuss into it. And just as we remember, so many videos have already started coming up and things that, that Raila Odinga was known for, will be remembered for. And, of course, the political sphere looking like it's going to take, a different turn. But we're looking at a number of those things today, and I'll let you in on some of those conversations. I saw a video yesterday where he sang this song, down the way when the nights are gay and the sun shines daily on the mountaintop. I took a trip on a sailing ship, and when I reached Jamaica, I made a stop. But I'm sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a day. My heart is down, my head is turning around. I had to live a little girl in Kingston town. He sang that song. Yeah. But then I looked at the words of that song yesterday, and I said, that's it. I had to leave. And my head is down, and I'm sad about it. But you have to keep going. And I watched that video many times of him singing that song, and it was just wow. Okay, this is a reality that we're waking up to this morning, and it's just the memories all around it is what helps us to have these conversations. So we will do that today, and we will remember him, and of course tell folks about the plans, the different ones that are happening. We know already that a delegation of Kenya's leaders and political class went to India yesterday. Later in the morning, landed in India, and are on their way back, poised to land at about 8 a.m. this morning. And we'll go through some of those details in terms of what will be happening. But I think it was just, very interesting to see the videos yesterday and see the pictures of the honor that he was given, the governor of Mumbai being there, together with Kenya's High Commissioner to India, and then them just being able to do everything that they did to ensure that he would be ready for Kenya then to bring him home. And so we'll give details of that, and we'll have a number of conversations with different people this morning, even as we remember the life and times of Raila Odinga. And even as we do, thank you for joining us. Yes, our live streams are up on YouTube, Facebook, and on X. And also, KTN, good morning. Of course, we're patching in and out. Dennis Aseto will then be on the other side as he's helping us to see, have an eye on what's going on. Essentially on the road. We're going to start off a conversation with Dr. Barak Muluka and Tony Gashoka. They'll join us, and we'll be looking into the sunset of a political giant, reflecting on Raila Odinga's legacy. They'll join us at 7 o'clock. We will then be joined by Richard Onyonka, as the Senator for Kisii County. Of course, had many moments difficult ones and happy ones with Raila Odinga, and we'll be talking with him at 8. We're going to round things off then this morning with Caleb Amisi. It was interesting because he posted yesterday there are a number of Raila Odinga's sons. Yep. And I don't mean sons, his biological ones, but sons that he raised through the political process. Caleb Amisi is one of them. And he'll join us for that conversation at 9 o'clock. So we'll do that today. And of course, we're going to hear from a number of folks today, just, going through a lot of these things and, sharing as much information as we have when we get it. All right, so that's what it looks like this morning. And so let's get into it, shall we? Still, we're in Liberia. Interestingly enough, one of the countries that Raila Odinga had a lot to say about, especially after the times of, President Sam Taylor and the things that they had to go through during the civil war and the conflict in Liberia.
Yeah, and Liberia gives us this proverb today. Teeth and tongue can fight, but they will never stop working together to eat.
Indeed. Wow.
Teeth and tongue will always fight, but they will work together to eat.
Yeah. We may clash, we may not always agree, but if we're in the same space where we have to get things done, guess what? I'll do my part, I'll chew it, and then you move it along, or you chew it and I move it along. But there has to come a time where we will have to be able to, there will be the lashing, and I might bite you every now and then, or you might push me aside. But at some point, we have to come together to make things work. We have to put our pride aside sometimes, I guess, or even our strength aside to then be able to do things together. That's what it looks like to me.
Well, for me, it speaks of very many things. But what's because fighting is all about conflict. It speaks of, you can fight, you can have differences, you can argue, you can have different opinions, but that's what makes us unique and different and special, and everyone is special in their own way. And therefore doesn't necessarily mean that it has to lead into, fighting. There has to be cohesion at some point. The right hand can't say, I don't need the left hand. The left hand can't say, I don't need the right hand. So though you may be right-handed, meaning that, for you, your right hand has more strength, you write with your right hand. But there will be a point when, if you want to carry a bucket, you can't carry that bucket without one right hand. Though it's strong, you will always need that left hand. Yeah. And same thing with two legs. There's just some mystery around pairings. And you have two legs, but the right leg can't say,
bring it alone.
I'm going to walk alone. Yeah. No. Even if the left shoe is pinching you and the right shoe is fitting nicely, you will just have to figure out how you'll coordinate. So the legs naturally have a way of just coordinating. And it speaks to life, like friendships, family, just people generally. And looking at the state of our country right now, especially with the passing of Raila Odinga, there is a way that some situations bring us together. And this is one of them, where then you forget your differences. You're not hearing anyone coming out and saying, making political statements that are pretty much negative. Although there are differences, it's that time when you settle things down and you're like, you know what, let's rally ourselves around together. Let's unite together, though we have differences, political differences, and that's why you'll see in the next coming days. All key, major, whatever, small political parties, big parties, everybody is going to rally themselves around what has just happened to the country. And therefore, it speaks of the importance of unity.
Yeah. If you look at that quote itself and you just look at the person who Raila was, so you look at an individual who had his own stance and what he believed in, he always challenged the decisions that were made, oppressive decisions that were made against people. But even then, he would always find a way of getting back on the table with his, what we'd call nemesis, and work things around, sit together, unite for the benefit of the country. Odinga always said, the the country is bigger than any one individual.
Oh, it's true.
So the teeth, the tongue would fight, but they will work together
Right.
to eat.
Yeah, like they say, there's no other country. Like 2728 taught us that very big lesson.
Right.
Fine, a tribe can fight another tribe. That's teeth and tongue.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're all in this country. If we burn together.
We're all in the
If
mouth.
we build it, we build it together. There is no other country called Kenya. There is no other place you can run to and call home. Home is always home.
Home is home.
Even if your family is so dysfunctional, and your sisters, your brothers, your mother, it's so dysfunctional. At the end of the day, it's family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's home.
Yeah.
That's true. And we've just been, of course, there's hundreds of thousands of messages coming in, and we'll look into some of those, of course. But this indeed is the loss of a man who's been in Kenya's political, social, justice, freedom space for 4 decades, right? So this happened as a loss to his family, to his wife, to his children, to his brother and sisters, to his wider family at large, to his colleagues. But it happened to Kenya.
Yeah.
It happened to Kenya. So this is a Kenya moment. It's Kenya in days, it's Kenya in weeks, it's Kenya in months. So this is something that happened to Kenya. So I don't think we can, as maybe some folks are trying to do, downplay the magnitude of this loss. It is a big one. And this is not just something that has happened no matter how huge it is to his wife and his beloved. This has happened to Kenya. So it is a Kenya moment, however you want to look at it.
And the thing is, you look at his struggle. Well, he was born in the final year of World War II, right? So we've all grown to know who Raila is, including Gen Z.
Yeah.
There is nobody. Well, for very many folk who are still alive, you've grown hearing his name. You've seen his impact, whether it's positive, negative, whatever, but you know he's a towering figure. And interestingly, I thought about this. During his formative years, he was always isolated from his family, suffered away from his family.
In exile, hiding.
And he was alone.
Yeah.
There was a point where Ida Odinga would say, he gave him to the country because he never really spent time with family. And then you look at the point when he died, he was again alone, away from his family.
It's true, and she took on that platform, didn't she, yesterday when she tried to address the crowd in Karen, and she was apologizing to them. And she said, I'm sorry, you've lost him. She was apologizing to them, So, she gave him...
To us.
Absolutely. And just reading from you guys this morning, everybody who is tuned in. Yes, Peter Kiarie, always remember that your present situation is not your final destination. The best is yet to come. Good morning. You're tuned in from Mombasa. Pan-African Kenyan is here this morning. Don Sabwa, we see you. We're all right. Thank you so much. Desmond Otis. But always, and I repeat always, don't wish death to someone, even your worst or best enemy. Rest in peace, Raila. Stanley Ngashe says, the people's president is gone. Robert Mbogo says, good morning from Mombasa. Sarah Kilonzo says, good morning. Rest in peace, Raila, the enigma. Aguto Gembo says, good morning. Rest in peace, Jacom. Hello, Princess Ndu Dennis and Aseto. If this train wreck didn't happen, now it would be Her Excellency Martha Karua. Well, rest, for you fought for the motherland. It's called being human. And Pernell says, good morning from Minnesota. May Baba rest in peace. We can all agree he sure loved Kenya and gave it his all. Eugene Odhiambo says, good morning. Tuned in from Kikuyu. May Baba's soul rest in eternal peace. Eric Awar says, good morning, guys. Rest in peace, Jacom. From the Twin Cities of Minnesota says Jeffrey Yanyuki. Izakale says, let's take a deep breath, lift our heads high, and walk into the future like it's already cheering for us. Hope isn't just a feeling, it's a rhythm. And we, dear listeners, are right on beat. Indeed, Isa. Miguel Germain says, sorry for a great loss, the great defender of democracy in Kenya. Josh Willie says, good morning, all. Poliko Familia, Raila Odinga, rest in peace. Michael Olande, may Baba's soul rest in peace. Hisa Daniel said, rest easy, Baba. Kenyans loved you, but God loved you most. Chun Pin Baba Agwambo, I lack words, says Dr. Van Vick. Rest in peace. King Dave says, good morning, great ones. When was the last time you played a full national anthem song? It was yesterday, actually. Tibbs Muge says, good morning. Toti Bishop says, it's only right to start the show with a moment of silence, indeed. Abraham Kimeli says, indeed, it's a sad day in Kenya. Rest in peace, Hero Rao. Joe Mungai sending his greetings, Our prayers to the family of Raila and Kenya at large. Carol Nyambura says, good morning, Nawapenda Sana, wishing you all a blessed day ahead. Fare thee well, Baba Raila. The sisters say, you played your part well. God's peace and comfort to his family and friends, indeed. Condolences to all Kenyans as Rao was national, says Jimmy Munuthi. Unbelievable. May he rest in eternal peace, says Agola. Good morning. Christina, good morning. May Raila's soul rest in peace. Baba War says, good morning, Team Spice. Shared agonies with Kenyans over the sudden loss of our statesman Baba Rao. May the good Lord rest him in peace and accord his family strength to cope with his loss. King Dave, indeed. Enigma, Tinga, Hammer, Baba, Jacom. Unbogable, Agwambo. Rest in power. Pan-African Kenya, we see you. Bwangi Juma says, good morning. How are you with this blessed Thursday? Indeed, there's a time for everything. Absolutely. Press J. Baba, you left without telling us which way forward. Press J. Najma, may Baba's soul rest in peace. Now, Najma Chaudhry saying that, of course. Press J says, of course, that was interesting that his bodyguard, in that video that we saw, walking behind him, and then the videos that we saw after that, sitting in the ambulance with him, didn't leave him for 1 minute. Was always with him. He understood his assignment, but also you could see that he had a love for the man. Georgia Call says, good morning. I mourn Baba for the sudden demise. We enjoyed lunch at his home just late July. Lala Salama Jacom says, Ben Chakala. Ivan Omondi Odera says, indeed, it's a great loss. Yeah, that was a Harry Belafonte song. Indeed, Harry Belafonte sang that song. Margaret Gavoni, good morning. Rest in peace, Rao, indeed. Beautiful moments for us to then be able to remember. It was also interesting to hear Senator Oburu Odinga saying, you know what, we are celebrating. He did his part. May Baba rest in peace, says Mama J. Ominde Caxton says, good morning. My condolences to Rao's family, Julia's Song. My heartfelt condolences to Ida Odinga family in the Republic of Kenya for the loss of Jacom. Christopher Ogure, good morning. Tune in from Maseno. Joey Onindo, rest in peace, Jacom. Samuel Murira says, good morning. Amazing trio and everyone in the studio. Rest in peace, Raila, the Kenyan enigma to the world. Have a blessed day ahead. And it goes on and on, folks. Christina, we see you. Press J. Luther King Jr. says, good morning, Spice FM. Aberi Bethwell, rest in peace, Jacom. Luther King Jr., may Baba rest in power. Kenneth Jumba, rest in peace, Baba. Onganga Ken, what a way to bow out. May his soul rest in peace. The president that never was. Jerry Mamba says, good morning. Mtu Flani, may God comfort the grieving. Good morning to you, Mtuflani. Go well ahead, son of Adonijah. Newt, and that's Jimmy Mayora. Newton Emase, Nyakach Technical and Vocational Training College sends its condolences. Albert Gisore, we miss him and we will miss him dearly. Rose Sekere, rest in peace. Baba, you were an enigma. Jacom Bamburi says, good morning. We disagreed on politics, but still loved and respected him. Rest in peace, enigma. Ignatius Nyageta, rest in peace. Baba Owen Karaoke, a political enigma. Your place is etched in the annals of Kenyan history. Fiska says, rest in peace, Baba. Your legacy is alive. And these are going to come pouring in through the days, that's for sure. We'll let you know, of course, what plans are in place as we get them. And, of course, there's some that we already know, so we'll look into those. How about we start all of this at this point by looking into the headlines? There's no doubt what's across all the headlines of all our major dailies today. On the front page of Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard, Enigma bows out and he waves. The man, the myth, the legend. And Dennis Aseto will see you on the other side, of course, as we continue to get those pictures. A towering figure in the continent's political history has fallen. Raila Odinga, freedom fighter, reformist, and the country's most enduring opposition leader, died in India, closing a life defined by struggle, sacrifice, and an unrelenting quest for justice. Raila was both revered and reviled. A restless, brilliant, mercurial force whose life was a constant duel between destiny and defiance. He led, he fought, reconciled, and re-emerged time and again. A political phoenix in a nation that rarely forgives its own. Now, as the music fades, Kenya mourns the enigma whose silence leaves a huge void. And then, of course, we go into pictures of, his life from the 70s into the 80s with his dear wife, with his friends of a national and an international level. And it just goes on and on, and we'll come into these in just a while. He was a son of the bull who baffled all and charted a path and shaped political duels for decades. Looking into other headlines, Raila's court battles that transformed justice. Baba, a politician who schooled a nation. End of an era. Kenya mourns a fallen political mastermind. Kenya's relentless pursuit for a just constitution. And he was right in the center of all of this. And of course, we look at the stories of how he struggled earlier. 3 names, many hideouts, people who hid him, dressed as a Muslim woman sometimes, dressed as an old woman to escape death and persecution and prosecution. A lot that he went through. He was known by the world, and this is not just a Kenyan thing, literally known by the world. And we can see that from the different tributes that started to flow in. Some of those that we will share, presidents from across the world, from the Prime Minister of India to Hichilema of Zambia, Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa, of course, Samia Suluhu of Tanzania, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Tinubu, who is Nigeria's current Obasanjo, and
great friends with Obasanjo.
Very, very, very good friends. I mean, they basically went everywhere together. Former South African President Thabo Mbeki. I mean, the pictures of him with Obama. Also, folks who are leaning in. Antonio Guterres, saying that, my dear brother, not just Raila Odinga, but my dear brother. These are people that he had intimate friendships and brotherhood, camaraderie with, and these are pouring in from the world. That tells you something. It tells you a major thing, and we'll look into some of those as we go through them this morning. Ruto declares state funeral for fearless freedom fighter. We'll see that happen. His request to his family, which is no secret, was that he be buried within 72 hours of his death. It's a tight one to walk because the nation wants to mourn him. So it looks like it'll be 96 hours, but it'll be done by Sunday, and we'll give the details of the state funeral and how it's going to be. The president, William Ruto, has also declared 7 days of mourning where flags will fly at half-mast, and all his engagements have been postponed until after, and he's asked members of the cabinet and the civil service to do the same. To suspend all that business until this business is over, if it can ever be. All right, so those are some of the headlines we're looking at in the Standard, and of course sharing more information with you as you go ahead. Over to you, Kari.
Let's look at the Daily Nation. Rest in peace, Raila Odinga, 1945-2025. His picture there, and then we look at the insert pages. Enigma, Raila's story ends not with a conquest, but with a calculus. In the twilight of his life, he embraced the establishment. He had once fought, pursuing continental ambitions, even as his domestic star dimmed. Raila, the deal maker, who redefined power in Kenya. His life was a study in resilience, reinvention, and rebellion. For over 4 decades, he personified Kenya's turbulent march towards democracy, winning power without ever quite holding it. That's the story. So, looking at some key dates here, 1945, year when Raila was born at Maseno's Church Missionary Society Hospital to Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Kenya's first vice president, and Mary Juma. 1982, the year when Raila was detained as a political prisoner by the Moi government, spending 6 years in solitary confinement. Then 2007, the year whose general election spawned the post-election violence after Raila contested Mwai Kibaki's win. Those are the years plus many others that really at a glance, when you look at his life, then redefined, reinvented the person of Raila Odinga's and his illustrious political career. MP for Langata between 1992 to 2013, Minister for Energy, served as Prime Minister of Kenya 2008 to 2013, then became Africa Union High Representative for Infrastructure Development 2018 to 2023, then had major alliances. Just speaking about his political career, NAC 2002, Kibaki Tosha moment, when ODM founded in 2005, the handshake with President Uhuru Kenyatta 2018, broad-based alliance with President William Ruto 2024, then signature deals, multi-party democracy, devolution, constitutional reform, Pan-Africanism. You can't just difference. They were everywhere.
Indeed.
And Kenyans pour into the streets across the country to mourn Raila Odinga, shuttered businesses in Nairobi Central Business District amid fears of criminal activity following the death of former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. So people yesterday poured onto the streets and to towns, and there was this scare, this sudden surge of people coming out to the streets. They're mourning, and so the people who are shutting down the businesses, because they shocked everyone. No one was prepared for this.
No.
Those who went to work very early in the morning got the news while they were at work. We got the news when we were actually working here. And so everybody's trying to everyone was trying to wrap their heads around what was going on. Raila Odinga's death brought Parliament to a standstill. The plenary and committees had to be cancelled, and trips by some politicians, they had to cancel their trips.
Indeed.
And their programs to just stay around. So there's a story here. I think you earlier made some reference to it. Bury me within 72 hours of my death, Raila's will. So it was radical. The sweetness bears an uncanny fidelity to the way Odinga practiced politics. So the first shock was that he was gone. The second came hours later. According to senior family members and State House officials directly involved in Raila Odinga's funeral arrangements, he left a clear directive that he be buried within 72 hours of his death. If the funeral committee interprets the wish strictly, then the state funeral is likely to be held this weekend, which was announced. It will be happening on Sunday. Odinga's wish was revealed by his lawyer yesterday morning at a State House meeting attended by, among others, his brother, Senator Oburu Oginga. The logistics of transporting the body from Mumbai, India, triggered a debate as to when the 72-hour countdown should then begin. And some in the funeral committee have interpreted that it should start the moment the body lands at JKIA. But others are convinced that this reading would violate his wishes then. And so officials at the presidency and at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs intimated that Odinga's remains would land in the country, but by this morning. The flight from Mumbai to Nairobi takes slightly more than 6 hours. So it was Dr. Oginga who first called the president shortly after 7 a.m. with the news that his younger brother was in critical condition in India. He said Raila had been rushed back to the hospital. A source said moments later there was another call. Odinga's youngest daughter Winnie calling Dr. Ruto. She was she was talking to Ruto with a trembling voice, said the worst had happened. Hospital officials said the cause of death was a heart attack. It is a hell of a logistical nightmare considering that he died in India. But as the ODM family, we are working together with our fallen party leaders, family, and the committee formed by the president to oversee his burial arrangements to ensure that we align with his wish to be buried within 72 hours. Vihiga Senator Godfrey Osotsi and ODM deputy party leader told the nation it is hard to overstate the audacity of the 72-hour instruction. Kenya's great political departures are typically measured in days than that lengthen into fortnights. Processions, parliamentary homilies, choirs rehearsed into consensus, bodies lying in state as people practice the choreography of loss. Men of Odinga's stature, Jomo Kenyatta, Daniel Moi, Mwai Kibaki, even his own father, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, was sent off with an amplitude that became part of the legend. Odinga has posthumously edited the script. To go quickly is to reject the theatre. President William Ruto's decree of 7 days of national mourning was, insiders say, timed to harmonize with the 3-day wish. So the swiftness bears an uncanny fidelity to the way Odinga practiced politics as a series of disciplined pivots rather than a single and broken march.
Yeah. I mean, and it will. This is the thing, that it will happen in that time, how he has desired it to be. That he also then realized that, you know what, that there are many things that need to happen. And he knew maybe didn't grasp it in 100%, but he knew the impact that he had on a country, and he also knows what would happen with the loss of his death, that he needed that to happen quickly in order for people to move along. Yeah, and how considerate of him in that regard.
He thought through everything.
He did. He thought through it. And just imagine that he said, you know what, guys, I know. You would imagine that he knew that people would drink water if he said do it, that people would jump if he said, that people would do what the Constitution said if he said that's what it said. He knew the impact that he had on people in terms of a leader. So he said, you know what, I go 3 days, wrap it up, and let's keep things moving.
And of course, he knew. I mean, from where he comes from, in Luo Nyanza, there's a way they do things. You know, there's a way they do things. And so the news of his 72-hour wish then scrambles the customary choreography.
For sure.
Of grief. Because Kenya's long goodbyes are not just mere extravagance. They are the public's chance to translate private sorrow into civic meaning. And therefore, those 72 hours, then you have to really tighten things up.
Yep.
Let's look at the Star very quickly. I'll just go through one story. A giant of democracy, main headline. Joey, why Raila used chant at funerals, for those who are wondering. So there's a story here which then describes what happened February 12th, 2020, during the state burial of former President Daniel Arap Moi at Kabarak. Raila Odinga moved mourners when he broke into a Luo dirge, waved his fly whisk several times above Moi's casket and chanting, Joey, Joey, Joey. So the word is deeply rooted in Luo language and tradition. It refers to a buffalo, an animal that symbolizes strength, courage, and fearlessness. In Luo culture, the buffalo represents someone whose presence is powerful and whose influence cannot be ignored.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For us to understand the pedigree or the caliber of people who not just had to make a statement because there was a death of a statesman, but because they had, again, a touch point with Raila Odinga and have seen what he's done over the years.
Yeah.
Narendra Modi, the Indian Prime Minister, says, I had the privilege of knowing him closely since my days as a chief minister. He had a special affection for India, our culture, values, and ancient wisdom. This was reflected in his efforts to strengthen India-Kenya ties. Abiy Ahmed, who is the Ethiopian Prime Minister, on behalf of the government of Ethiopia, I extend my sincere condolences on the passing of former Kenyan Prime Minister Raila Odinga. May he rest in peace. Hassan Sheikh Mohammed, who is the president of Somalia, I extend my heartfelt condolences to the people of Kenya on the passing of former PM Raila Odinga, a towering statesman whose legacy of democracy, justice, and public service will endure. It goes on. Ismail Gule, the Djibouti president, Raila Odinga is gone. Kenya has lost a visionary leader. Our condolences to his family and all the Kenyan people. Hakainde Hichilema is one of the first who gave his trip yesterday. We extend our deepest condolences to the people of Kenya, the Odinga family, President William Ruto, and all those touched by this towering advocate for democracy. His legacy will endure. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, who is the AUC chairperson, Kenya has lost one of its visionary sons, a leader who dedicated his life to the pursuit of justice, democracy, and unity. His legacy will continue to inspire our collective efforts to build a peaceful Africa. Workney Gebehu is the IGAD Executive Secretary, an unwavering Pan-Africanist. He dedicated his life to the pursuit of democracy, justice, and unity. His lifelong struggle for freedom and equality inspired generations. We then hear from Ed Barnett, who is the Charge d'Affaires at the British High Commission. His legacy as a statesman, reformer, and champion of democracy will forever resonate across Kenya and beyond. Henriette Geiger, who is the EU ambassador to Kenya, he dedicated his life to fight for Kenya and has been an iconic leader through the decades. His legacy will live on. Cyril Ramaphosa, who is the president of South Africa, the nation of Kenya and our continent have lost a patriotic and selfless leader whom I knew and worked with as a friend and brother. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, who is the WHO Director General, I am deeply saddened to learn about the passing of our dear brother Raila Odinga. My deepest condolences to his friends and family and to Kenya. So this is the cross-section of the kind of people that knew about the influence that Raila Odinga had, not just in Kenya, but indeed around the world. And even as we look at these stories in pictures, pictures, they tell 1,000 words, don't they? There he is with former president of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, and they're there holding hands in a way in which they often would, dressed similarly at the festival in Kisumu. There he is with former president, the late Mwai Kibaki, with former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, and Her Excellency Graça Machel, and His Excellency Benjamin Kappa during the peace mediation in Nairobi. There he is with former Senator for Baringo Gideon Moi, visiting former President, the late Daniel Arap Moi. And there, of course, is President William Ruto, with now his widow, Ida Odinga, and his brother, Oburu Oginga, in Karen yesterday. And there he is, lifting the Bible, being sworn in as the people's president next to Miguna Miguna and TJ Kajwang, with Obama, with Charles Jonjo. And there he is, a great photo in Kibera in 1992, casting his vote. And there he is with his wife at her birthday celebration. And the stories go on and on and on in pictures. There are not enough pages to capture the pictures that would tell the story of Raila Odinga.
Well, it's going to be... you're trying to unpack the events that from yesterday. Then you're looking at today, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We are going to squeeze in so much emotions, so much preparations, planning going into then his interment on Sunday.
Yep.
And just trying to track the flight that then is bringing his remains back into the country. And from what happened then last night, his body then was moved from Kerala, and the remains were flown from Kochi to Mumbai by a special Indian Air Force aircraft. That's how much they honored him, even at the point of his death there. And the remains were received by a high-level delegation from Kenya, deputed by President William Ruto and headed by Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, Musalia Mudavadi, and so many other people. The government of India, represented by Kerala Governor, laying flowers on behalf of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and other officials from the Indian government, then just to see that everything is seamless. And they only had 2 hours landing in Mumbai and making all these things happen very fast and then flying back. And we were seeing those images and the videos of the delegation from Kenya aboard KQ flight to Mumbai, and you're looking at people, and I was looking at, for example, Senator Sifuna, so dejected, crying, and he has time and time again said he's a child of Raila Odinga.
Yes, this is one of his sons.
He got into politics because of him, and it's the same story. If everyone will be allowed to eulogize Raila Odinga, he had an impact on each and every one of them.
That's true.
That's
true, for sure. And it's going to be a very, very many interesting days. And as we come to the top of the hour, let me just share with you then, of course, what we know in terms of details of what will happen. Yes. His body will arrive in Nairobi 8:30 a.m. It'll probably then leave the airport.
8:30, 9:30.
Yeah, between 8:30 to 9:30.
Yeah.
The body will be received by President William Ruto and family members. So between 12 noon and 5 p.m., after having gone to the Lee Funeral Home, the body will be moved to Parliament Buildings for public viewing. The body will then be moved to Lee Funeral Home again after that. All right? So that happens today. And then tomorrow, 8 a.m., there will be a state funeral service at the Nyayo Stadium. Dignitaries and VVIPs will be expected. The body will be moved to the Karen home for Raila Odinga for an overnight stay. Saturday morning, the body then leaves for Kisumu. 9 to 3 p.m., there will be a public viewing, and the body will leave Kisumu by road to Bondo for an overnight stay. The burial of Raila Odinga will take place in Bondo, according to the traditions of the Anglican Church of Kenya, which we know he was a member of with his family.
Room, the only way to start your day.